Hi everyone, and welcome to Jane Talks Real. It's Murder Mystery Monday, where I'll be talking about and reviewing an episode of Poirot, Murder, She Wrote, Diagnosis Murder, or Jonathan Creek. Today, I'm looking at Murder, She Wrote, A Body to Die For. Or as I like to call it, that time Murder, She Wrote got physical. I'm going to begin the episode on the credits because my nostalgia meter is through the roof. But anyway, we begin in this episode's setting of Cabot Cove, where Jessica Fletcher lives for the first 7 seasons of the show. Yes, these ones are always the best! We slowly zoom in on Wayne's workout gym, where inside we are full on 80s. Wayne is working his way around everyone, stopping by Eve Simpson, the town's gossip monger, and this woman wants to book him for a private session. Oh my. In fact, all these women want to get into his pants. Eve tells her friend she has to go as she's got to get back to work, and she flirts her way to a potential sale when this dude Freddie is interested in buying an old farm and is proper impressed with this guy's wheels. Speaking of wheels, Jessica is cycling with her friend Nancy, who gushes about Wayne and his methods, and they have to pull over so Ben can take a breather. He comments that Wayne's class consists entirely of women, so Nancy suggests he have one of Wayne's private sessions, but Ben is not into that. Eve speeds past them in the car and later tells Jessica that Freddie bought the farm and she's proper into more than just his deposit check. The pair go into the pharmacy where Nancy and husband Clarence work, and Eve spots Wayne, so drags Jess over to meet him.
Well, actually, we're not exactly strangers. You were in my bedroom just last night.
This expression. But he means he has one of her books. Eve is relieved.
Do you happen to have an hour tonight? I really need a private.
Well, I could do you around 9.
Oh, could you now? And it's agreed he'll go to her house that night. Jessica reminds Eve that she was just lusting over Freddie, and this woman is proper horny, while Wayne chats to equally thirsty Nancy right in front of her husband, so that cannot be good. Wayne is trying to peddle his shitty drinks, which impresses Lily, but not her husband Joe, so they get into a big argument.
Well, I'm the only one going to spray my wife with Vitality.
Holy crap, what am I watching? This is the horniest episode of Murder, She Wrote ever, even more than the one where that deputy was shagging half the women in town. Wayne kicks his butt and shoves him into the flower bed. Eve tells Jessica she's gonna have to go out of town that night on an urgent matter, which means she had to cancel her little sex fest with Wayne. But never mind, Freddie is here who needs to talk to her, so she kind of boots Jessica out of the cafe. Freddie asks for his check back because he's having money problems and needs to pull out of the sale. Eve is very disappointed until he tells her the truth, and honestly, I don't know what the hell he's talking about, but he's clearly a con man and Eve is eating up every word, promising to pull some portfolios and money together that night. Wow, it took me way too long to work out what was going on with this neon sign, and yes, that was a pun. Wayne leaves his class for the night when he's approached by Freddie, who tries to pull him in on the Eve scam, implying that Wayne used to run tricks with him, but he's not interested. Sheriff Metzger notices a light on at the gym, like I noticed this piece of equipment in shot, and goes to investigate only to find Joe raiding the place. Meanwhile, Eve gets home and finds her place tossed and Freddie's body on her bedroom floor. And what the hell are these dots all about? I know it's supposed to be blood, but it looks like he's been attacked by a bingo dabber. Metzger rocks up and questions Eve about the dead dude, but she's not got a clue, except he was shot. However, Metzger says the door was locked, and Jesus, this room is so pink. Does she live in a bottle of Pepto-Bismol? The weapon is deemed to be a shotgun, and Jessica insists Eve come to stay with her, now her house is a crime scene. Jessica points out that Freddie knew Eve was going to be out of the house for a while, which is proper sus. And then there's a knock at the door. It's Metzger. He still doesn't get why the victim was in her house, so Eve sets him straight.
Fred wouldn't have been up to anything in my bedroom, at least not without me.
And she's colossally unhelpful. Metzger says Freddie was fishy, what with the lack of family, ID or address, and Jessica practically leaps up to answer the phone to avoid all this bullshit. It never ceases to amaze me how many times people ring Jessica's house to speak to someone other than Jessica, even though they can't know the person they want is at her house. Or is she just the go-to person to call if they can't get hold of the person they want at home? Metzger breaks the news to Eve that Freddie was a con man, ex-con, and she erupts, saying she's an idiot, and he must have been in her house looking for information on clients he could swindle. And my goodness, only Jessica Fletcher could wear something that you usually find on your grandmother's wall and make it fashion.
It's fashion. Excuse me.
Also, fun fact, this picture here is of Angela Lansbury's real-life mother, Moynia McGill. McGill being Jessica's maiden name before she married Frank Fletcher. Anyway, Jessica points out that Wayne was the only person besides Freddie who knew she had to go out of town. And no, Jess, don't break Eve's heart again.
If Fred was still alive, I would kill him myself.
Okay then. Joe is in the slammer and after hearing that it was Freddie that got killed, says to check out Wayne because he saw the argument between them when he went to break in. And I'm sure personal grudges don't come into play here. Metzger goes to the gym but doesn't ask him shit. They just talk about his wife attending classes and he gets him to sign something before leaving, so that was pretty pointless. There's a shouting match going on between Ben and Eve's weird jumper at Jessica's house, which she breaks up. God, I can't work under these conditions.
Ben! Wait! I need a lift to LaRue's drugstore before it closes.
You go, Jess. Clarence tells Jess it's been a busy day because Nancy had to attend a family emergency and has been gone since last night. And the camera is lingering on him just a little too long. This lady gossips about the dead dude in Eve's bedroom and she is not impressed. But don't worry, a sexy neck rub will make it all better. And here's Metzger again, who arrests Wayne in front of his whole class. Rude. What's with this woman? Eve rings Jessica, begging her to do something, while Metzger explains he sent Wayne's fingerprints off to the FBI and they kick back a rap sheet that ties him to the dead dude. Wayne explains Freddie pressured him into his old con life, but he turned him down, and his alibi is pretty flimsy, so back into the cell with ya. Jess says he could very well be a killer, so suggests being alone with him for a bit to see if she can get some information. And girl, you're a bit of a lunatic. Surely Metzger wouldn't let her do something that reckless.
Mrs. Fletcher, be my guest.
The conversation is a bit of a bust. She knows Wayne wasn't where he said he was when the murder happened, but he won't tell her anything, except he didn't kill anyone. In the supermarket, some gossipy woman in a terrible coat organises with Lily to hire a lawyer for Wayne, and that lady pops up from behind the salad bar and approaches Jessica for advice. Turns out that not only is Salad Ninja Betty Wayne's alibi, but she's also his wife. Don't tell Eve Simpson. The pair of them come clean to Metzger, saying Wayne pretends to be single to peddle his shit, but Metzger says it doesn't change anything, he could still be guilty, while all the women want refunds now they know Wayne is off the market. Jessica and Eve are out for a walk when they notice who they think is Metzger in the window of Eve's house, but it's not.
It's me, ladies, Floyd.
Floyd is so precious. He acts like an overenthusiastic kid in his first school play, and I love him. Jessica realizes that the same mistake could have happened the night of the murder, and the intended target could have been
Wayne.
Metzger is not impressed with this deduction.
Where would I start? Every husband in town wanted to kill Wayne.
All except you, Sheriff.
Thanks, Floyd.
He's such a gem. Metzger decides that Joe is the killer because he heard Eve make an appointment with Wayne but not cancel it, but Floyd bursts his bubble by reminding him that Joe was already arrested by the time the murder took place. Eve thinks Nancy is the killer and Metzger jumps on that bandwagon.
Left town or skip town?
So they go to interrogate her, but something is up, and after Jessica asks about the bruise on her face, Nancy admits that she and Clarence had a fight, and she fled to a motel, which Floyd confirms. Jessica steps in to sort out all this mess, and points out that everyone had an alibi for the murder who was in the pharmacy, except for Clarence, who accuses Eve.
No.
And he confesses he got drunk and angry and went to Eve's to shoot who he thought was Wayne through the window. He apologizes to Nancy and is arrested, and afterwards Metzger tells Jessica and Ben that he signed up for Wayne's classes because his wife kicked his butt at arm wrestling. Okay, so I love this episode. Everyone is so horny that it's bordering on being a carry-on movie. And the best ones always seem to be the ones set in Cabot Cove, aka Maine's Murder Central. Sadly, Seth Hazlitt was absent from this episode, his role instead being filled by Ben, so it was not the same, but still we have characters like Eve Simpson and Floyd at their finest. The women in Cabot Cove are mostly portrayed as horned-up gossips. Case in point, Lily knew the ins and outs of Eve Simpson's car ride with Freddie, but didn't know he was the victim. Although maybe murder is so frequent in town that everyone just stops caring. I love how calm Jessica is, even when everything around her is going to shit. And even though she's a successful writer, she always takes the time to sort things out. It seemed pretty obvious to me that Clarence was the killer, as the camera lingered on him quite a bit, and it had to be someone who overheard Eve's conversations. There's a flaw in this episode that's always bugged me. Okay, Freddie got shot because Clarence thought he was Wayne and didn't know Eve Simpson had cancelled, but if that's the case, he wouldn't have known Eve wasn't at home like she was supposed to be, and could have easily shot her or indeed be caught by her, so it doesn't make a whole lot of sense. We have one victim, pretty standard in Murder, She Wrote, Freddie Cabot, who was shot by mistake by our killer, Clarence LaRue, who was sick of paying for his wife's gym membership, I guess? So there you have it. That was a body to die for. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below, or come say hi on social media. If you enjoyed this video, then please hit that like button, it really does mean a lot, or consider subscribing if you want more videos like this one. Alternatively, feel free to check out my other YouTube channel, Jane Plays Games Badly. Thank you so much for watching, I'll speak to you soon, and keep an eye out for clues.